Hello and a very good evening. You're watching the news tonight on Rajya Sabha television with me, Frank Pereira. Here are the headlines. All set for election to decide India's 15th Vice President tomorrow. Contest between NDA candidate M. Venkaiah Naidu and opposition's nominee Gopal Krishna Gandhi. Members of Parliament to cast ballots from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. ₹6,000 crore allocated as subsidy for handloom sector. Minister of State for Textiles Ajay Tamta tells Upper House that handloom weavers are not covered by the GST regime. Rajya Sabha proceedings adjourned briefly over disruption by SP and BSP. Members protest against government's decision to rename Mughal Sarai railway station in Uttar Pradesh after Deen Dayal Upadhyay. Lok Sabha passes bill to establish Indian Institute of Petroleum and Energy in Visakhapatnam in Andhra Pradesh. Institute to provide high-quality education and research focusing on the themes of petroleum, hydrocarbons and energy. Well, the election to decide India's 15th Vice President will be held on August 5th. Members of Parliament will cast their ballot for the election from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. The results will be announced the same day. Only members of both houses of Parliament, including nominated members, vote in this election. MPs will use special pens for marking their choice. NDA's candidate M. Venkaiah Naidu as its candidate is pitted against opposition's nominee Gopal Krishna Gandhi. Naidu served as the Minister of Housing and Urban Poverty Alleviation, Urban Development and Information and Broadcasting in the Modi cabinet. He has also served as the BJP National President from 2002 to 2004. Whereas Gandhi is the grandson of Mahatma Gandhi and is a former governor of West Bengal. The new Vice President, when elected, will replace Mohammad Hamid Ansari. The term of incumbent Hamid Ansari, who has held the post for 2 consecutive terms, comes to an end on August 10th. Well, NDA leaders met in the capital today ahead of the vice presidential polls. The meeting was organized to brief the MPs about the correct voting procedure to minimize the possibility of votes becoming invalid. During the presidential poll, 77 votes were declared invalid, of which 21 belonged to the parliamentarians from various parties. The meeting was attended by leaders from the NDA and also members who do not belong to NDA but are supporting Venkaiah Naidu's candidature.
सभी सांसदों को कैसे वोट देना है उसको पावर पॉइंट प्रेजेंटेशन करके अच्छी तरह से समझाया है और इस बार किसी की गलती नहीं होगी। सभी एनडीए के हमारे सांसद सही वोटिंग करेंगे
कि एक राष्ट्रपति की चोन या उपराष्ट्रपति की भी जो चोन होए तो जो राष्ट्रपति की चोन में जो कमियां दिखी उनको दूर करने के लिए और भी विस्तार से आज इंश्योर किया जा रहा है कि वो दोबारा रिपीट ना हो।
Well, the government has allocated a subsidy worth 6,000 crore rupees for the handloom sector, which does not fall under the ambit of the GST regime. Minister of State for Textiles Ajay Tamta also said that handloom weavers do not come under the GST regime as their total turnover is below 20 lakh rupees.
It is an issue which is very old.
Responding to supplementaries during question hour, Minister of State for Textiles Ajay Tamta said the government was concerned about the welfare of handloom weavers. He told the House that the government provides a subsidy of 90% to scheduled tribe weavers, 75% to scheduled caste weavers and 50% to general category weavers to encourage setting up of solar power handloom units.
पावर लूम में भी हम 90% की सब्सिडी शेड्यूल ट्राइब के क्षेत्र में और 75% की सब्सिडी के माध्यम से शेड्यूल कास्ट के क्षेत्र के अंतर्गत दे करके उनको सोलर के माध्यम से जोड़ने का काम पावर लूम के सेक्टर के अंतर्गत हम कर रहे हैं। ये वीवर्स को हर प्रकार से सुविधा हो, अंतिम पंक्ति में खड़े व्यक्ति का विकास और उसको काम मिले, इस दिशा में चाहे उसको यान की सब्सिडी है उसको भी हम लगातार दे रहे हैं।
Responding to another query, Railways Minister Suresh Prabhu informed the House that presently the number of work-charged gazetted posts in various grades on Indian Railways stands at 6,434.
कि हम लोगों के पास जितने भी पोस्ट है, ये सभी पोस्ट आज सिर्फ इस कारण के लिए कि जो काम चल रहा है उसके लिए। आपको भी इस बात को सुन के शायद खुशी भी होगी कि पहले रेल में 35-40 हज़ार करोड़ से ज़्यादा कभी प्रोजेक्ट के इम्प्लीमेंटेशन के लिए कैपिटल एक्सपेंडिचर नहीं दिया जा सकता। हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी के कार्यकाल में हम लोगों ने उसको बढ़ाकर पिछले 3 साल में 3,75,000 करोड़ करीबन हम लोगों ने कैपिटल एक्सपेंडिचर के लिए बढ़ाया। तो बड़े मात्रा में प्रोजेक्ट भी चल रहे हैं।
Questions were also raised on setting up of seed banks in Chhattisgarh and the operation of the Sindri fertilizer plant. Kriti Mishra's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Rajya Sabha proceedings were briefly adjourned in the pre-lunch session on Friday. The disruption came after SP and BSP members protested against the government's decision to rename Mughal Sarai railway station in Uttar Pradesh after Deen Dayal Upadhyay.
Raising the issue during 0 hour, Naresh Agarwal of the Samajwadi Party alleged that the government was trying to change the character of the country. He also claimed that the government was forcibly changing the geography of Uttar Pradesh.
सरकार जबरदस्ती उत्तर प्रदेश का भौगोलिक स्थिति को बदलना चाहती है, नाम बदलना चाहती है। मुगल सराय पूरे वर्ल्ड में नाम,
अरे भाई, लेकिन
पूरे विश्व में नाम जाना
it is not a 267 matter.
क्यों बदलना है?
It is not a 267 matter.
दिल्ली का भी नाम बदलने जा रहा है। ये नहीं।
Minister of State for Parliamentary Affairs Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi contended that the opposition parties have no objection to Mughal names but are resisting the name of a great thinker.
ये मुगलों के नाम पर रेलवे स्टेशन चाहते हैं, पंडित दीनदयाल उपाध्याय के नाम पे नहीं चाहते। तो मुझे लगता है कि ये सोच बिल्कुल गलत है। विक्टोरिया टर्मिनल को छत्रपति शिवाजी महाराज के नाम से किया गया। बॉम्बे बीटी कहा जाता था उसको, अब छत्रपति शिवाजी महाराज टर्मिनल हो गया है। और मुगलों के नाम पंडित दीनदयाल उपाध्याय जो एकात्म मानववाद के अंत्योदय के Dissatisfied Samajwadi Party members, however, moved into the well of the house. BSP members also joined ranks and raised the pitch against the government. The chair then adjourned the house for 10 minutes. The centre on Thursday approved a proposal to rename the iconic Mughal Sarai railway station near Varanasi as the Deen Dayal Upadhyay station after the Jan Sangh leader who died in 1968. The proposal was given by Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath's cabinet in a bid to revive Upadhyay's legacy. Kriti Mishra's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, members in the House expressed concern over the rise in mental stress and tension among the defence forces. Sanjay Seth of the SP said that stress is the new killer and has been taking a silent toll. Several other issues of public importance were raised during 0 hour. Let's take a look.
Raising the issue during 0 hour, Sanjay Seth of the Samajwadi Party urged the government to take proactive measures to curb suicides due to mental stress in the defence forces.
हर साल एक रिपोर्ट के अनुसार हमारे सशस्त्र सेनाओं के जवानों में से 100 लोग मानसिक तनाव के चलते आत्महत्या करते हैं। पिछले साल 2016 में 125 सिपाहियों ने आत्महत्या की, जिसमें 101 सेना के, 19 वायुसेना के और 5 नेवी के थे। इसके अलावा कई मामले ऐसे भी आए हैं सशस्त्र सेनाओं के सिपाहियों द्वारा मानसिक तनाव के चलते एक दूसरे की हत्याएं की हैं।
Rita Pratap Banerjee of the CPIM demanded immediate installation of a statue of Rabindranath Tagore at the Jallianwala Bagh memorial premises. Members of other parties also associated with Banerjee's demand.
The Jallianwala Bagh massacre in Punjab of 13th April 1919, which took a toll of nearly 1,000 innocent non-violent people, is a gruesome history of cold-blooded annihilation. Immediately after the incident took place, the multifaceted maverick Rabindranath Tagore took no time in denouncing his knighthood that had been conferred on him in 1915 by the British Crown. Sir, it is most unfortunate that in the entire Jallianwala Bagh memorial, this very man does not find a proper place of honor. Installation of a statue of Gurudev, along with the proper and prominent display of the letter of denouncement of knighthood, will be a mark of respect to the man.
Sukhendu Shekhar Roy of the TMC expressed concern of the plight of jute growers.
किसान है जो लोग जूट प्रोडक्शन में जुड़े हुए हैं, ये लोग उससे भी ज़्यादा, ये लोग को डिस्ट्रेस सेल करने पड़ा। एमएसपी के नीचे 400 से 500 पर क्विंटल उनको घटा के बेचने पड़ा और जूट कॉर्पोरेशन ने उन लोग तक नहीं पहुंच पाया।
Issues like the Jharia coal fire and railway connectivity in Dhanbad also found mention during the 0 hour in the Rajya Sabha. Kriti Mishra's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, the Lok Sabha on Friday passed a bill to establish an Indian Institute of Petroleum and Energy in the port city Visakhapatnam in Andhra Pradesh and declare it as an institution of national importance. The Indian Institute of Petroleum and Energy Bill 2017 will help establish the institute that aims to provide high-quality education and research focusing on themes of petroleum, hydrocarbons and energy.
A bold decision to bifurcate Andhra.
Petroleum Minister Dharmendra Pradhan informed the House that the Indian Institute of Petroleum and Energy Bill 2017 is a step closer to fulfilling Prime Minister Narendra Modi's promise of developing Andhra Pradesh. Prime Minister Modi had promised this when the state was split into two few years ago. The state government has provided 200 acres of land free of cost for the project.
विश्व की देश की आवश्यकता को ध्यान में रखते हुए आंध्र में अपने चुना की अगर और 7 नेशनल इंपोर्टेंस की इंस्टीट्यूट आप तय किया, लेकिन मैं आभारी हूं कि आपने पेट्रोलियम और एनर्जी के बारे में एक इंस्टीट्यूट आंध्र में आपने तय किया। सिर्फ इसकी लाभ आंध्र में नहीं होगा, इसकी लाभ देश की अर्थनीति को होगा, विश्व की अर्थनीति को होगा, भारत की नौजवानों को रोजगार में मदद होगी। मैं आभार प्रकट करूंगा, उन्होंने 200 एकड़ जमीन बिना पैसा के बिना मूल्य की उन्होंने उपलब्ध कराया, उनको मैं आभार प्रकट करता हूं, इन्होंने सही कदम उठाया।
Earlier, starting the discussion on the bill, Congress MP Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary said other states should learn from Andhra Pradesh in how to build institutes of national importance. However, he also slammed the government for removing the subsidy on petroleum, saying the step was anti-poor.
On behalf of my party, I must congratulate the endeavor made by the Andhra Pradesh government, because Andhra Pradesh government had allocated 200 acres of land free of cost. I think this should be emulated by other states also.
The establishment of the Petroleum University in the state of Andhra Pradesh, and the desire of this is being fulfilled by young dynamic Petroleum Minister Dharmendra Pradhan ji. He personally came to Visakhapatnam to inaugurate, to lay foundation stone for Petroleum University, sir.
When you form an institute, not only you are creating a new institute, but you are creating an institute with a national importance. And therefore I congratulate the minister. What was needed long.
Several members also raised the issue of the price of LPG cylinder to be raised by 4 rupees every month. The Petroleum Minister had informed the House about this on Tuesday. With Ravindra Sharan, Bureau Input, Rajya Sabha TV.
The Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi on Friday visited flood-hit Gujarat. Rahul touring the northern districts of the state that have been declared disaster affected by the state government. He was welcomed by crowds waving black flags, shouting slogans in favour of Prime Minister Narendra Modi during his tour of flood-hit Dhanera town in Gujarat's Banaskantha district. Congress Vice President was to address a brief public meeting in Dhanera but got cancelled after he was heckled. He took a tour of Banaskantha and Patan districts, which are the worst affected regions in the floods in the state in 70 years. Over 270 persons are estimated to have died and 4.5 lakh people affected by the floods in the state. As many as 61 persons have been killed in Banaskantha alone, while 7 died due to heavy rains and floodwaters following rains in upstream Rajasthan. Earlier in the day, Rahul also visited the flood-affected areas of Rajasthan.
जितनी मदद हम कर सकते हैं हम कर रहे हैं। थोड़ी सी कमी की सरकार की तो है। जहाँ भी हम जा रहे हैं हम पूछ रहे हैं कि कॉम्पनसेशन आया है, मदद की है, पानी हटाने का काम शुरू हुआ है, तो लोग कह रहे हैं कि नहीं हुआ है। तो चीफ मिनिस्टर को वो काम शुरू करना चाहिए जल्दी से।
Well, a Hizbul Mujahideen militant was killed in an overnight encounter with security forces in Kashmir's Anantnag district. The encounter broke out late last night at Kanibal in Bijbehara of Anantnag district, 55 kilometers from Srinagar, when a joint security team cordoned off the village and launched a search operation following intelligence inputs about the presence of militants. 2 militants escaped in the operation, which lasted 2 hours. The militant was identified as a local called Yawar. His body has been handed over to his family. Meanwhile, the NIA custody of 4 Kashmiri separatist leaders, including the son-in-law of Hurriyat leader Syed Ali Shah Gilani, was extended by 10 more days today. 7 separatists were arrested by the National Investigation Agency last month for alleged funding terror and subversive activities in the Kashmir Valley. The court sent 3 other leaders to judicial custody for a month after the National Investigation Agency did not seek their custody.
आते ही एनआईए ने ये कहा कि हमारे को 3 का रिमांड नहीं चाहिए, फर्दर रिमांड नहीं चाहिए, तो इसलिए उन 3 मुलजमों को 7 मुलजमों में से जुडिशल कस्टडी की गई, तो वो जेल चले गए। और 4 की उन्होंने कहा जी हमारे को कस्टडी चाहिए क्योंकि हमारे को इनसे फर्दर पूछताछ करनी है।
Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi today released a book based on the speeches and published articles of the BJP-led NDA's vice presidential candidate M. Venkaiah Naidu. The book, titled Tireless Voice, Relentless Journey, is a compilation of Naidu's long political career as well as his speeches in Parliament. On this occasion, Prime Minister Narendra Modi led other BJP leaders in praising Venkaiah Naidu's achievements in the course of a long political career. It's time for a short break now, but news and updates will continue on the other side. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
In vegetables, the farmers are usually small to marginal. Generally, they are procuring seeds from the local shops or local markets. Sometimes they are procuring a seeds which is not suitable for that particular season, but just for the sake that the shopkeepers had to make their business, they are giving those seeds to the farmers. Tomato, the national productivity is only 22 tons per hectare, but we are having the potential of even 70 to 80 tons per hectare.
Watch Eureka with Dr. Neeraj Singh, Principal Scientist at ICAR, Indian Institute of Vegetable Research, only on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back. You're watching Rajya Sabha television. Well, unimpressed by Chinese provocations on the Doklam stalemate, India once again today said that the solution to the problem lies in diplomatic initiatives from both sides. This comes against the backdrop of threatening statements from China increasing by the day and reports that it is holding live fire drills in the Doklam plateau.
Refusing to stand down in the face of the Chinese provocation on the standoff at the Doklam Tri-Junction, India has reiterated that diplomatic talks are the only way forward to defuse the tension.
So I would only say that our objective is peace and tranquility. How it is achieved, it will obviously be achieved through diplomatic channels which remain operational and available to both sides.
With its firm enunciation of talks as the best policy, India has clearly underscored that there is no reduction in vigilance on the border with China. Status quo existing a month ago is still in place as far as military preparedness is concerned for India.
The government, of course, remains prepared. The country, it's government's responsibility to ensure the security of its citizens and territory, and we remain prepared.
India's statement comes even as China has stepped up calls for immediate withdrawal of Indian troops from the Doklam plateau. Beijing has said India must not underestimate the confidence and capability of the Chinese forces to defend sovereignty and security. In an attempt to intimidate, China is also publicizing fire drills in the Tibetan areas close to India. This, however, is not the first time that China openly resorted to such provocation. But as Sushma Swaraj cautioned Beijing on Thursday, why to go into war if you have to return to the talks table?
किसी भी समस्या का समाधान युद्ध से नहीं निकलता, युद्ध के बाद भी संवाद करना पड़ता है तब निकलता है। युद्ध अपने आप में समाधान नहीं देता। जीते हारे लोग भी टेबल पर बैठते हैं तब समाधान निकलता है। तो बुद्धिमत्ता का तकाजा ये है कि युद्ध बिना किए संवाद कर लो और उससे रास्ता निकाल लो तो वो कहीं ज्यादा बेहतर है।
The border standoff between India and China started a month ago after Chinese troops started constructing a road near the Tri-Junction with Bhutan. India says the unilateral action by Beijing will change the status quo in the area, which will be detrimental to Indian strategic security. Akhilesh Suman's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, news from neighbouring Pakistan now, where President Mamnoon Hussain swore in the country's new 46-member cabinet on Friday. This after new Prime Minister Shahid Khaqan Abbasi finalised his cabinet post a reshuffle. The previous cabinet was dissolved when Nawaz Sharif was ousted last Friday. However, the new cabinet comprises mostly of staunch allies of the toppled leader. Asif Khawaja, who was previously in charge of the defence as well as water and power ministries, has now been appointed foreign minister, while Ehsan Iqbal, previously in charge of the Planning Commission, will take on the Interior Ministry portfolio. Some more international news now, where Rwandans voted in a presidential election on Friday, a day before the country's general election. Expecting a third term, Rwanda's President Paul Kagame cast his vote in Kigali's Rugunga polling station. Kagame, a commander who led Tutsi rebel forces into Rwanda to end the 1994 genocide, is tipped to win the election by a landslide after 17 years in power. Rwanda's Frank Habineza, the only registered opposition competing against President Kagame, also cast his vote.
It's a very good step forward for democracy in Rwanda, because it's the first time an opposition party is allowed to be on the ballot paper. After we've struggled for 8 years, this is a very big step forward. We hope that we build on this foundation to make Rwanda much better.
Well, let's now take a look at some more developments from across the world in Global Buzz. Several motorists had to be rescued from their cars after flash floods in Southern California. Emergency teams used helicopters to rescue stranded motorists from their vehicles. A sudden heavy downpour triggered the floods that washed out roads throughout Los Angeles County. A major fire broke out in Dubai's Torch Tower, one of the world's tallest buildings. The tower was evacuated and no injuries were reported. The Dubai government said firefighting squads from 4 civil defense stations were deployed and the fire was brought under control. A grand jury issued subpoenas in connection with the June 2016 meeting that included President Donald Trump's son, his son-in-law and a Russian lawyer. As per the sources, U.S. Special Counsel Robert Mueller had convened the grand jury investigation in Washington to help examine allegations of Russian interference in the vote. And some sports news now, where India declared their innings at 622 for 9 against Sri Lanka on day 2 of the second test at Ravichandran Ashwin took 2 wickets after scoring an unbeaten 70 runs. Sri Lanka at the start of their innings lost Upul Taranga for a duck in the second over to Ravichandran Ashwin. There was a lot of turn for Ashwin and Ravindra Jadeja as the Lankan batsmen struggled to get runs on the board. Captain Dinesh Chandimal and Kusal Mendis held the fort for the Lankans till the end of the day and assured no further loss of wickets. For Sri Lanka, Karunaratne scored the highest. For India, Ashwin finished with figures of 2 for 38.
It's 119.
Here's a roundup of the other sports news now in Sports Beat. Well, the World Athletics Championships begin in London today. 25 Indian athletes are participating in the 10-day grand event, but none would be in action on day 1. India is hoping for a medal from a world junior record holder, Neeraj Chopra, in the javelin throw. India has taken part in every championship since 1993, but long jumper Anju Bobby George's bronze in Paris 2003 has been the lone medal at this global stage. Two-time Paralympic javelin throw gold medalist Devendra Jhajaria became the first Paralympian to be recommended for the Rajiv Gandhi Khel Ratna Award. Former hockey captain Sardar Singh's name has also been recommended for the country's highest sporting honour. The award selection committee, headed by retired Justice C.K. Thakur, nominated the names and suggested that both be considered for the award jointly. The final call on this will be taken by the Sports Ministry. Top-seeded Dominic Thiem was ousted from the City Open by 15-seeded Kevin Anderson in a 3-set battle. Anderson got past Thiem 6-3, 6-7, 7-6 to advance to the quarterfinals of the ATP 500 tournament in Washington, D.C. In another match, Japanese second-seeded Kei Nishikori beat Argentine Juan Martin Del Potro 6-4, 7-5 to advance to the quarters. Nishikori will now take on American Tommy Paul. Well, that's it on this newscast. Good night.